Just waiting for this to go. Okay. Now we're live. Good. I want to talk about this. What happened on... I didn't even know this initially had come back. G4 TV on YouTube. Until I saw a clip of this woman right here. Where is she? Frost or whatever her name, where she lost her shit because... and said some stuff that was stupid, so I commented on that. But I looked further in to find out what caused this. And basically what happened was a bunch of people heard her make a comment about basically the PlayStation. Her comment was... Whoops. Her comment was that Xbox beat PlayStation in the streaming wars, and the cult of PlayStation came at her and decided, so yeah. So essentially these people decided, they were just going to hit her with this. I mean, just come at her and say, oh, you're wrong for saying that PlayStation beat Xbox because PlayStation sold a few more consoles. What she said wasn't wrong. But her response was stupid. She went and said a bunch of stuff that had nothing to do with any of why these people were on the live show responding to her, because, well, you gotta remember, it's like the cult of Kojima. You say the wrong thing about Kojima, they'll come after you. Just go ask Razorfist. And if you're offended by her comment, all those people that decided to tag in on the show and seriously, cause her to lose her mind, well, you're not going to like Razorfist videos on Sony or PlayStation. So yeah, that's what caused all this was she said Xbox beat PlayStation in the console wars, and frankly, Nintendo's kicking both their asses. And I've had both these consoles. I have a PC and I do have an Xbox One, and I like the Xbox One. I think it's fine for what it is. But I've had the PlayStation 3, I've had the PS4. I don't like PlayStation. I don't like their controller. I don't like anything. I think that they're kind of the PlayStation's a shit of a console. PS3 was one of the worst things I ever bought. And the designers couldn't even make games for the system. And honestly, she's not wrong about Xbox being PlayStation and console wars. And like I said, Nintendo's been doing this. My favorite console is the GameCube. The controller is my favorite controller. They had basically another reason I don't like PlayStation is because Shinji Mikami worked at Capcom, and they signed a contract with Nintendo. They were going to bring and update the original Resident Evil for the GameCube. It looks fantastic. Then they did Resident Evil 0, which was a prequel to the first one. Sort of, it was going on at the same time as Resident Evil. Then he did Resident Evil 4. And it's great on the GameCube. Here's the problem. PlayStation decided they wanted to make more money by porting it to the PlayStation. Shinji was not happy with this and basically said, if you do it, I'll quit the goddamn company. He didn't want it on the inferior PlayStation in every way. PS2, They did this, he quit the company. And along with that, they added a stupid sideways, this Eva Wong character crap to it. Oh, but yeah, there's a whole lot more about Sony that just, they're a crappy company. Sorry about that. But yeah, she made a comment. People didn't like that she said this. But the truth is, Xbox is beating PlayStation. Not just in the console war, software. What did Microsoft do? They bought Bethesda, ZeniMax. That's a whole lot of stuff. Then they go and buy Activision Blizzard. Holy shit, and even bigger, for even far more money. What is Sony's response? And it was this week, and I saw the cult of PlayStation clap. Yes, this is so great. They bought Bungie. It's hilarious because one person made a comment that literally said, "Oh my God, that means they own Halo." No, dipshits. Halo is owned by Microsoft and is being made by those at Bungie who stayed with Microsoft and called themselves Studio 232. So what did Sony get in this? They got Destiny. Yay! It's Halo with a hood. Excellent. The game is crap. Sequel is even worse. I know some people like the online, but the game itself is crap. So essentially, go look at Naughty Dog if you want to see the future of Bungie under Sony. Hey, all you Sony fanboys, how was from the Soy of Us to the Soy of Us 2? Oh, I know you had that one hit with the Ghost of Tsushima. Don't expect the same thing come the sequel, being the fact that now this is a Western game developer and studio, and they left Japan and told Japan, we're done with you. We want to be all about censorship. We want to be about all the wokeness in the West. So expect that sequel to be Sony to basically tell them to be more woke. Make it more woke. But yeah, she made a comment. They didn't like it. The cult came after her. She didn't handle it well. And basically, both sides in this fucking thing acted like children. Jesus Christ. It's kind of like, and I will point this out, Star Wars and George Lucas. The prequels. I understand something. I love the prequels. So when any people go, everybody hates the prequels. No. Shit for brains. You hated the prequels. I didn't. I actually enjoy the prequels. I get what George Lucas was doing. And people, you don't even get who George Lucas is. This is a guy who could never say a negative thing about anyone. Even if he thought they were terrible in one of his movies, he could never be a negative person towards anyone. He's always this, even though he's, I know where he never throws it directly in your face like other people in Hollywood. He tends to be low-key on his politics. He puts them in his movies, but you won't directly realize, right away what his politics are. And all the things you hate about the prequels, this wonky dialogue, the terrible CGI, all this stuff, is essentially what you praised in the Disney Marvel films. Not kidding. Yeah. See, the movies they were making are the same thing that you complained about in the prequels. I mean, you hated the prequels. Your hatred through each of them. I was surprised how George Lucas didn't let this bother him. Then, 2005, when the Revenge of the Sith came out, to 2012, he took a break. In that time, he had another daughter. He's with a new woman. Now she's his wife. 2008 came Twitter. Now, everybody wants to blame Catherine Kennedy. She ruined Star Wars. No, she didn't. She didn't ruin Star Wars. In fact, I'm about to explain what ruined Star Wars. It's called the hateful, the people I will refer to as those who hated the prequels so much after 7 years when Twitter, by the time George Lucas announced his new trilogy and his TV series he wanted to do in Star Wars, this hateful group of assholes came back harder than ever at George Lucas, demanding that he not own his own company. And fuck you, Kevin Smith. So they attacked. Remember, he's in a new relationship. None of these assholes even realize that he's, that he gets married. And from what I understand, George Lucas was so excited about this new trilogy, he had told the cast. Peter Mayhew got knee surgery. Kenny Baker everybody was excited. Hell, even Harrison Ford seemed to be wanting to come and do this. Yeah, everybody's really excited. Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, start working out to lose weight so they can get in shape. And I pretty much understand where he was going to go with this. But these people, these hateful motherfuckers that hate him so much for the prequels, couldn't let it go after 7 fucking years of him doing nothing. So what does he do? He talks to Disney. His wife says, and I guarantee you, seeing all this, she's like, oh my God, how do you put up with this? Sell the company. Just get rid of it. It's not worth having anymore. So he goes to Bob Iger. He tells Bob Iger to keep Kathleen Kennedy on board at Lucasfilms. She's a producer. Keep her on board. And he tells him his plan, what he was planning to do. Bob Iger's like, okay, well, But of course, Bob Iger says this because he wanted to do George Lucas's. They buy the company, and seeing all the hate, anyone paying attention realized how much vile shit George Lucas got for those prequels that these people, these hateful motherfuckers gave him. If I'm Bob Iger, and I'm pretty sure this is what's running through his mind, he goes, we can't touch this shit. Look at these people. Look at the way they made the man sell his company. There's no way we're doing this. Let's take all that stuff and we're not going to touch this stuff ever again. It's just going to be the original trilogy, the prequels, and the animated series. That's all we're going to touch. Because that already exists. The rest of this stuff, we can't touch it because if they hate George Lucas, they'll hate anything we do that he does. We have to do something new. So Bob Iger makes a decision to cancel all that stuff. So the hateful group ruined Star Wars. When it was announced Disney was buying Star Wars, this is what happened. People went, oh yes, please, thank you, Disney. You saved it from Star Wars from George Lucas ruining it. As Padme says in Revenge of the Sith, so this is how the Republic dies, in a loud applause. I literally said, this is how Star Wars dies, in a loud applause. That's exactly what I was thinking. Because I knew no good could come out of this. And then when they announced the new trilogy, people went, yes, we're getting a new trilogy. Oh, it'll be better than what George Lucas did with those prequels. Then they announced the directors, and all the idiots went, spunked themselves. Exactly what Razorfist said. Y'all, oh, yes, we love Abrams, even though he fucking ruined Star Trek. Yes, we love Abrams. He could never let us down. You do know he did Star Trek and fucked it up. And then it got, oh my God. Then came the third one, which was Fast and Furious in Space, done by Justin Lin. So they're like, no, Abrams would never disappoint us. The ending of Lost, you all hated it. No, we love Abrams. Abrams is the best thing ever. He's the new Spielberg. Did you get hit in the head or something? No. It's just, we love Abrams. He's going to make Star Wars better than anything George Lucas could do. He's ordained the new Spielberg. Spielberg's put out terrible films. No. First of all, Abrams put out that shitty Mission Impossible 3. No, that thing was great. Nothing Abrams does ever is wrong. What about Alias? Nope. What about Felicity? Nope. That was Carrie. That was all due to the hair. I kid you not. They blame Carrie Russell getting her haircut for why why Felicity was, why it was bad. Why it went downhill. I'm not kidding. Abrams gets no blame for anything. Lost was trash. Everything he does is shit. They said, no, Abrams will make it right. It'll be great. And then what about Rian Johnson? Oh, we love Rian Johnson. Oh, Looper was so good. Are you on crack? No. Rian Johnson can do no wrong. We love Rian Johnson. He's our favorite besides Abrams. What about the third guy? Oh, the guy who did the fourth. Oh, that one with Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard? Yeah. Oh, we love that movie. Oh, what are you fucking talking about? That movie was trash. No. These guys are going to make Star Wars better. And then find out the last guy walked away. He quit. And so it's up to Abrams and Rian Johnson to make Star Wars great again, right? Yeah. How is the new trilogy? It must be fantastic. It must be better than the prequels. That's all I ever heard, that the new ones are going to make the prequels. Oh, they're going to be great. Then what happened? They came out. And everybody blamed Rian Johnson for ruining Star Wars. No, idiots. Rian Johnson didn't ruin Star Wars. No, Star Wars was ruined the moment George Lucas, the hateful group, ruined Star Wars. Not Kathleen Kennedy. Oh, and just to shit on all of you for hating Kathleen Kennedy, she didn't fire Gina Carano. That was Bob Iger. Only the CEO can fire anybody under contract through him. That means the actors, the directors, all those people that have to go sign a contract, for what they're going to get paid for the project they're going to do. The CEO can only be fired by the CEO. Kathleen Kennedy's a figurehead at Lucasfilms. That's it. She's a producer. I've seen more hate for the prequels than I saw for anything George Lucas did when he made changes to the original trilogy, or when Crystal Skulls came out. Hell, I've seen more hate for the prequels than I saw for fucking Captain Marvel. Not kidding. There was never as much hate for 3 films. I mean, I've seen people don't like Captain Marvel, but there was never the hate for that 3 films. I mean, Captain Marvel, I heard how bad it was, but Jesus Christ, it got more love than fucking George Lucas. See how messed up that is? The Phantom Menace hated these films so much, they canceled they got rid of George Lucas and ruined Star Wars. So Kathleen Kennedy, Bob Iger, no, Rian Johnson, Abrams, they didn't ruin Star Wars. You did. I know you're not going to like hearing that, but that's a fact. Now, yeah, and that's why I talked about that, because this essentially started out with her making a comment, like I said, that the cult of PlayStation didn't like, and they went, oh, and they came, well, and she responded terribly. She could have told them to fuck themselves, but essentially she flipped out, said a bunch of stupid shit, and it's gotten worse. Everybody on both sides acts like children. I mean, Jesus Christ, we're adults. Everybody has a right to say what they want. But no. No, you can't say the wrong thing against a cult. They'll come after you. Just raise your fist when it comes to Kojima. Yeah. You say the wrong thing. You say PlayStation sucks, and they'll go, you are wrong. How dare you? So come at me, bitches. I ain't defending her at all. I'm just pointing out the context of what started this whole thing between children who can't. We're talking, God, you people just need to take a step back. She's an idiot. You're an idiot. It's a goddamn piece of plastic. Your life doesn't revolve around PlayStation or Kojima or anything else. Life, you just need to stop. Then I'm going to talk about this next. Peter Dinklage Dinklage, 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 you stupid little fucking dwarf. Oh my god, how stupid of a fucking retard you are. Did you not realize when you got hired on Game of Thrones, they hired you because you were a fucking dwarf? As another actor who played Hornswoggle has said, Peter Dinklage, who appointed you the king of the dwarfs? And here's the thing, he's not even pointing out the fact that her right here, Rachel Zegler, is Latino. She's not white. She's not the character is called Snow White because her skin is fair as snow. That means she's white, not tan. Not tan. So somebody who's Latino cannot play this character. But he was, oh my god. First of all, in the book, Dinklage is a retard. In the book and in the animated film, which Walt Disney was careful to really do a pretty decent job of telling, the dwarfs work in a mine, live in a cottage. Yeah, 7 of them. But I'm going to say something. Him criticizing this and Disney saying, okay, we're going to put it. They were never going to cast anyone. Understand this. There was no way they were going to hire 7 7 dwarfs to play the 7 dwarfs. There would have been too much outrage. How dare you? So now they've claimed they reached out to the dwarf community, which clearly they didn't. They're now magical creatures, all because, Peter Dinklage clearly knew he wasn't getting hired. So he threw a fit like a child because it's all about him. And frankly, other actors in the dwarf community came forward and blasted him. I mean, it's so ridiculous that, right here. Hornswoggle, of all people, called him out. Yeah, and said that, first of all, nobody called you the king of the dwarves. And 2, dwarf roles are very rare and in between. He's right. It's hard to, they're not ashamed of the fact that they're dwarves. Dwarves are actually proud of being dwarves. There's nothing, why would they be ashamed of who they are? They actually take pride in being dwarves. But the problem is there aren't that many roles for dwarves. I mean, you look at it, you go Kenny Baker, it's probably one of the most famous, and most people don't even know what he looks like because he was in R2-D2. Then, of course, you have Warwick Davis, is another famous dwarf. He was in Willow. He's been the actual leprechaun. And then, of course, the actor who played Hornswoggle in the WWE, Dylan Postal? He pointed out this, and other dwarf actors have said the same thing. Nobody appointed Dinklage as the king of the dwarfs. He had to go through the same thing they did. He got lucky to get Game of Thrones. But to sit there and say, oh, how dare they, whether they were or weren't, they're not casting actual dwarfs to play the 7 dwarfs in the movie. Now they're going to be magical creatures, along with a Latino woman playing a character. Because she's not white. She's Latino. She's got more melanin in her skin than I do. I'm actually closer to Snow White. But no, and then her response to that back then was, I'm not going to bleach my skin white. Oh, how stupid people are. Oh, no wonder her last movie fucking didn't do well. And Spielberg's lost his touch. And he was the director of Lucas when Corey Haim was raped on the set while that movie was being made. Yep. Spielberg was the director of Lucas, starring Corey Haim when the men on the set started raping Corey Haim while filming. Go ask Spielberg if he knew or participated in raping Corey Haim. I don't know. I can't believe he didn't know that Corey Haim was being molested over and over on the set of Lucas. But, yeah, that's something to ask Spielberg about. But yeah, I just wanted to point this out. This guy only got a role because he's a dwarf on a show called Game of Thrones. Which, by the way, everybody criticized the two guys who turned it into a TV show. Well, I'm going to sort of defend these two. They were working with the books. They begged the author, George R.R. Martin, 2 years before they ran out of source material that they needed him to finish the next book. Because they were running out of the books. They were close to catching up to what... And he has never finished this last book. That's why they got stuck with trying to figure out how to end the show, because they didn't have the next book. Blame this on Martin. He went off to do other stuff instead of... And he'll never finish this book. And that's why he's garbage. But yeah, I just wanted to point that out. He only got... And I guarantee you, any other male actor could have played that character. Hell, Dylan here could have probably done a better job than Dinklage. He probably could have voice acted better than Dinklage in the first Destiny game. Jesus Christ. You're not that great of an actor, Dinklage. You're mediocre at best. Dylan here is a far better actor because he was actually good as Hornswoggle in the WWE. Yeah, and he was a better actor in the WWE than you actually were on Game of Thrones. And now we'll get to this. Brian Flores. Oh my God, he's filed a lawsuit claiming racism. How stupid is this fucking idiot? First of all, he was the coach of the Miami Dolphins. Well, let's go back. He once worked under Belichick in New England. Then he went to look, he went around looking, he wanted to be a head coach. So he got sit-downs with meetings with Denver, the Giants, and Miami. Ultimately, Miami hired him. Okay. The Dolphins, see what reason Brian Flores is not a coach anymore was the general manager is a black man. The Miami Dolphins have a black general manager. That's the person the coach directly deals with. That's the person who hires everybody on the team. See, the owner hires the general manager who deals with the coach and everyone else on the team, including the players. Do you understand? It's kind of like the CEO of Disney. So he would not work with his general manager, his boss, the person he directly deals with. At all. So the general manager didn't matter how his tenure, his time as the coach of the Dolphins, the fact that he butted heads and wouldn't listen to his boss was the reason he was fired. It had nothing to do with him being black, and when the general manager himself is black. And the whole thing of the Giants, this whole thing about race, it's just fucking garbage. He has no lawsuit. First of all, no one's ever accused Elway of being racist. No one's ever accused the Giant organization of being racist. He's bellyaching because he was fired because he's an idiot, not because he's black. Do you know that over 60% of people in the NFL, over 60% of the people that work in the NFL are all black? Yeah, a majority of people involved in the NFL, that's including players, everybody that's connected to the NFL, are black. So it's not, and same with the NBA. The majority of people working in the NBA are black. So yes, there's no racism here. He's just doing this because he can't get a new job. And the Belichick text message doesn't prove a goddamn thing. Doesn't. So Brian Flores, you're a moron. I just wanted to get that out of the way. Okay. Now this woman, she calls herself Whoopi Goldberg. Well, let me explain where this comes from. Back in the day when she was starting out as a comedian, this is her real name. I think it's pronounced Karen or Kyrene Elaine Johnson. Yeah, she was born in 1955. Okay, after World War II. Yeah, she was suspended. I'll get into that. But her real name is right here. When she wanted to be a comedian, she decided she would take whoopee from the whoopee cushion because she said it sounded funny. And it is, it's funny. But then she said she chose Goldberg because she wanted to connect to the Jewish community. This is actually true, originally what she said. Then apparently in 2011, that changed. She kept this part about the whoopee. Then she said, well, the name is family. It's a family name, and I'm Jewish. Okay, that's what she said in 2000. I think it was 2011. Now apparently, even though she isn't Jewish, and this isn't her at all connected to her family, that's what she said. Come 2022. Okay, let's talk about that. What she said on The View. When they were having a conversation about the Holocaust and the Jews as a race. She said the Jews are not a race. They're just another... Basically, the Holocaust was a fight over two groups of white people. Okay. But the other part she said was true. It's basically the horrific... I'm paraphrasing. She was pointing out how humans are terrible to each other, which is true. Now, the problem with the first statement is it minimalizes what Hitler said. And basically, as Babylon B pointed out, basically, she's saying that Hitler wasn't a racist. Well, we know he was a racist because, here's the thing. A lot of people misunderstand what Hitler meant by the Jews are an inferior race. He wasn't saying them being German. No, he literally meant that he considered white people... white Europeans, the superior race. He said anybody that he doesn't consider white, that's including the Jews, are an inferior race. So because he wanted, and this plays into it, Hitler sent, I forget, was it Himmler? He sent somebody to look for the origins of what's called the Aryan race. Yeah. Which would be considered the origins of all white people. Okay. This is what he believed. Well, when it came to the Jews, he called them an inferior race because he didn't consider them white. And his other hatred of them, and by the way, Hitler himself was half Jewish. His father was a Jew. I just wanted to put that out there. So this is a man who hates his own father. But he also said that the Jews ran the banks, so therefore they are the reason capitalism exists. And he hated capitalism. He also hated black people. Well, Karl Marx hated black people. Stalin hated, pretty much let's just say this, Asia as a whole hates black people. Yeah. Black people do not have a whole lot of people in the world. We're talking racially that actually, not a whole lot of them back in the day. But yeah, Hitler hated black people. He hated the Jews. He hated homosexuals. They're not a race or anything. He just hated men who have sex with other men. He also hated the gypsies. Well, gypsies are nomads. As far as I know, they tend to move around a lot. They even say they're nomads. They don't really particularly, like in America, they don't tend to have a home. They tend to move around. But yeah, he wanted to get rid of the gypsies, blacks, gays, and the Jews. Why? Because Jews were an inferior race because they were not white, according to him. So when Whoopi Goldberg says this, and I'm going to explain pretty much why liberals, and especially black, in this day, if you look at the climate, what do you constantly hear? That black people are the most oppressed people in the world. What do they point out? They point out slavery. Okay, and CRT. Well, the problem with this, over here included, is that if you recognize the Holocaust as what it was, a genocide against a race of people, that diminishes this over here. And it wrecks CRT. And it basically ruins their races, their call that black people are the most oppressed people in the world. So Nick Cannon and Whoopi Goldberg saying this, is nothing surprising. It's something Chris Rock said in one of his stand-up routines. He goes, who's the most most racist person in the world? I mean, America. He said, old black men. But he goes, hey, white people, we don't have time to separate you into your individual groups. We hate you all. And that's pretty true. That's actually pretty true. Why do you think when they look at Asians, they see white people, and that's why they attack them? Why they attack Jews? They consider them white. This is why what would be said is, in her mind, she's not being racist. She's just saying what generally black people over here on the left, liberals, the Democrats, the communists, support. Because they have to. Because their victimhood, if you've listened, means nothing if the Holocaust is considered one of the biggest atrocity against a racial group ever. When you look at that 6 million Jews were exterminated by the Nazis compared to slavery. This does not compare to this, and that's why they have to say this. Because they have to play the victim that they're what they've been, which they never went through slavery, and a lot of them didn't even go through segregation. But here's the irony about both of those: slavery, the African slave trade started in Africa. In this country, just like in segregation, black kids grew up with both parents. Nowadays, these kids, most of them don't even have their fathers around. And if you look at slavery as a whole, the word slave, as Thomas Sowell, he did a video about this, talked about, comes from the word Slav. And most of the time, slavery, like if you look at overall the white slave owners in America, most of them were no better off than their own slaves, because they were just as, money was an issue. And owning people is not a profitable business, especially if you don't take care of them. And you had black slave owners who were actually originally from Africa, who were here during when this was a colony, were the first slave owners because they were rich. They hated these people. They hated the slaves. Those that were brought over here to be sold into slavery, they hated them because they were everything. They were all the weakness that they saw in themselves. That's why they were terrible to their slaves and would be cruel to them. But a lot of white slave owners, it's not a profitable business. When you own people and make them, you have to take care of them. And I've heard stories about, like Hattie McDaniel explained what her parents told her, what it was like for them as slaves, and apparently what they told her, and that's why her performance in Gone with the Wind, she tailored, and all of them tailored their performances after what she told them about what her parents went through. And it's way different than what others went through, even in the North. North was, you didn't want to come to the North and be a slave in the North. Trust me, it was far worse than anything in the South. But, I'm getting past. But yeah, this has to be, is she anti-Semitic? A lot of blacks are. A lot of liberal blacks don't believe the Holocaust was, that's because they have to play this. They have to say this because, well, for one, it's Black History Month. We have to it's all about the black people had it far worse than anyone else in the world. But if you remind them of the Holocaust, then they go, it defeats their arguments. Defeats CRT, defeats all of it. But that's why she said it. Because you have to downplay the atrocities the Nazis committed and diminish that they were a race and say, no, they were just white people. So that's what's going on. Because if this is far worse than slavery, then this gets ruined. And the ADL saying only white people can be racist, well, screw the guy. He's an idiot. The guy who runs the ADL doesn't know anything. He doesn't know what race is. Because he had to come out and try to make an amendment, which is really stupid. When the definition of race is basing something on someone's ethnicity, the color of their skin, or their race. Ethnicity can be, yeah. People should do more reading on this stuff. But yeah, do I think she should be fired? Hell no. Is it who she is? Yes. Just like Nick Cannon. Diminish the worst atrocity in modern history to make the other seem worse. That's what this is about. But by her, the only thing I got upset was I read up on Hitler. I did a paper on him in school. Hitler made it very clear the Jews were an inferior race. And as far as the book Mouse, from what I understand, it wasn't pulled because of what it was about. It was pulled because in the book, the author has the mice not wearing clothes. It's not that they're naked, they're covered in fur. But they think little children shouldn't look at a book that has mice not wearing clothes who are representing the Jews and how cats are representing the Nazis to make it easier to understand what the Holocaust was, because his father went through and survived the Holocaust. He wanted to, that's why he did Mouse. He used mice and cats because it's easy reference. He didn't put clothes on them because they already are covered in fur. But the school thought this was a little inappropriate for children. I don't know why they pulled the other book. Because you can watch the movie and there's, now I forget the goddamn other book. But yeah, this whole thing, that's just the way a lot of liberal blacks think about slavery. I mean, they want slavery to seem worse than the Holocaust. So, yeah. That's why she said it. And she's not going to quit The View. She's going to enjoy her vacation, come back after, in 2 weeks. And, it's all talk. She's not going to, that's exactly like this. I mean, she's, and the ADL needs to learn because they clearly don't understand what anti-Semitism is either. Because look at their definition of racism. Only whites can be racist. It's so stupid. But yeah, I wanted to bring that up. And now we're going to move on to this whole thing with the Ukraine. Okay. This is all a smokescreen. As the President Zelensky said, Russia is not at their border. Yeah, he made it very clear. He's more pissed off at Europe and Biden for trying to push a war than he is actually with Putin. He said it. That, first of all, Russia isn't at the border. He's pissed at the fact that they're all trying to push a war that even he says, stop talking about some mythical invasion. All Russia says is that Ukraine cannot join NATO. Okay, that's an easy fix. You're not in NATO. Okay, we're not in NATO. Simple. And NATO can go jump off a cliff. What do? Nothing. There's not going to be a war because nobody wants it. This is all smokescreen to cover up the fact that Biden has been actually slipping in illegals. That's what's really going on. You want to see the real truth? And Memeology did a video about this. Yeah, right here. Biden, and like I said, Memeology did a video on this. This whole thing with Ukraine is a smokescreen to cover for the fact that Biden has been illegally flying in and bussing illegals in this country with the hopes, because he thought he would get his, take over the elections from the, past, which it failed. It failed to pass. He never had the 60 votes to get it through. The whole thing with Joe Manchin is he's in a Republican state. He has to save the filibuster. He has to stop, you know. But, quit, like, I'm going to say this once and for all. For all you black pill fuckers, stop simping on Kirsten Cinema. Go watch Razor Fist videos on it. He's had enough of you motherfuckers. He's already talked about this woman. He did a video called Stop Simping for Cinema, and he just did a follow-up. You people need to stop acting like she's some fucking, she's going to save. She's a Democrat. She voted twice to impeach Trump. Her voting record is even worse than John McCain when it came to Trump. She's not trying to get, she's not trying to convince you assholes to reelect her. She's talking about Phoenix, Arizona, where she lives. But yeah, this is exactly what all this thing with the Ukraine and everything is, a smokescreen for this. They're sneaking in a bunch of illegals. They're flying them into states to try to, what they think they can do with the upcoming midterms. But most of the states that they're taking them to already have laws that would prevent them from voting anyhow. And they can't get, in these states, they can't get driver's license because they're not legal. They can't vote. They can't get jobs. It's like, how stupid are the Democrats? They're desperate. They know they're going to lose the midterms. That's why Biden's saying, the midterms might not be, because he couldn't get federal government take over the elections from the states. That's all this is. Smokescreen for this. Stop fucking blowing smoke up people's asses. It's kind of like the whole thing with Spotify and everything. Oh my God, David, you have old rockers. Oh yeah, I just brought that up. Yeah, okay. This whole thing, you have all these people threatening to, you literally have this whole thing with musicians, the has-beens of music. Neil Young. Didn't Neil Young once do a song, Living in the Free World? Oh, by the way, he was protesting the Vietnam War wasn't so patriotic because if you understood what happened in that war, China was proceeding to invade Vietnam. Vietnam went to the UN and begged the United Nations to step in to stop China from invading them. The United Nations basically did nothing. So when China invaded, the US stepped in to help stop the Chinese from taking over Vietnam. That's what started why we got involved. All these people like Neil Young and all these idiots who didn't understand why we got involved in the Vietnam War. Oh, there were some people who were out for various reasons, but legitimately we got involved to stop the Chinese from, And you had anti-war assholes like Neil Young. And then you had, of course, the traitor Jane Fonda hanging out and partying with the Viet Cong. Yep. But here's the thing. Them saying we're pulling our music because of... Show me your medical license, Neil Young, you old has-been. Then does anybody really care about Neil Young or the David Crosby or Joni Mitchell? I don't listen to any of their music. I don't think young people listen to their music. It's the old has-beens of music? Oh, Barry Manilow said he's not pulling his music? Okay. He's all for free speech? Okay. The others are a bunch of has-beens, and most of the people that are pissed off at Spotify don't give a shit about this stuff with Joe Rogan. They're pissed because they're not getting paid enough from Spotify. Oh, okay. So the has-beens are going to pull their music. Who cares? Joe Rogan had 2 doctors on. They talked about what they know. And frankly, I listened to both of them, and they're pretty knowledgeable. So I take them at what they know. I'm not going to take a bunch of has-beens. I'm not going to take the media who bring on a bunch of, as far as I'm concerned, fake fucking doctors to defend the drug companies and everything. So no, this is ridiculous and stupid. No, Spotify is not going to get rid of Joe Rogan. They're going to stand with him because he makes them money, while these others, what do? They don't make nearly any money from these musicians. We're going to go to Apple. Yeah, enjoy the child slaves. So yeah, this is a joke and is stupid. And on the husbands of music, yeah, do the world a favor and go away. Nothing of value was lost by them leaving Spotify. This is utterly fucking retarded. Jesus Christ, there's more bigger things going on in the world than fucking, than a bunch of has-beens of rock and roll complaining about Joe Rogan and medical myth information. Fuck off, Neil Young. Why don't you fuck your wife, Daryl Hannah? Why don't you put your dick inside her instead of bitching about Joe Rogan? Joni Mitchell, maybe you should go and get laid. That's your problem. You want to pull your music, who cares? Go find a guy, have sex. It'll do you. Get plowed. Yeah, fucking find a man and have sex. Jesus Christ. You obviously need it. Nobody cares about your music leaving Spotify. I mean, Jesus Christ, this whole shit. I mean, can we have anything less interesting and more boring than a bunch of has-beens fucking bitching about Joe Rogan? The has-beens of rock and roll complaining, oh my God, how dare Joe Rogan? How dare he bring on doctors to talk about stuff that they know? Oh my God. So fucking stupid. There are so much more important things, like the fact that we find out the consequences of these lockdowns. Or the fact that you have fucking this truck driver stuff. Yes, this is fucking something I'd rather talk about, is how people have been given money to raise money for these truck drivers, and how they're not against the vaccines. This was never against vaccines. They're against the mandates saying that American truck drivers coming into Canada to do work must be vaccinated, must have the jabs, and have a passport. That's what they're fighting against. They're not. Most of these guys already have the jabs. It's like the Dr. Moreau things. Both those doctors got theirs, got vaccinated. They're not against the vaccines. They're talking about stuff they know. This stuff, like with their whole funding being stopped. Yeah, I mean, look at this shit. This is all over Justin Trudeau being a fucking whiny little dictator. And then, of course, this thing. This is also the GoFundMe. They're pausing it because Justin Trudeau, Justin Trudeau, the monsters of Canada, these assholes, told GoFundMe to suspend the fund. You can't even give money to them. They're not even getting the money, and the fucking government of Canada wants to take this away from them. This is so fucking stupid. Jesus Christ. They're just standing up for freedom. I stand with them. I mean, give them their money. It's obvious to take care of them. Fuck any police who dare. Yes, and here's the thing. Fuck anybody who thinks that they're going to stop this. The reason Trudeau and others are afraid of this, because this is growing. This is growing. This is a movement. This is part of the whole thing that starts with something small and grows. And you see more and more people supporting this. This is about freedom. This is against fascism. Trudeau is a dictator. who has no right to tell people what to do. He was elected to lead, not to be a dictator. Just like Biden. Just like all these leaders in the world. People elected you to lead, not to be dictators. If they wanted that, they would fucking... Why did the Soviet Union ever fucking collapse? Jesus Christ. Why not just let Hitler have won World War II and let him take over the world? And then you could all live under a dictator. Move to China. Hell, move to Cuba. Funny thing is, Putin's less of a dictator than fucking anyone else in the world. Than the actual fucking supposed... Those who believe in democracy. Putin is more of a fucking... is more of an actual legitimate leader and acting more like what we would ask of a elected official than any of these fuckers like Trudeau and everything. And then I want to get to this. Okay, Jeff Zucker steps down, gives a reason that he was in a relationship with a woman, didn't... all this is all smokescreen. I'll tell you what's really going on. What's really going on is, remember, Discovery's buy-in is buy-in Time Warner. That's including CNN. And they've already stated they want CNN to go back to telling legitimate news. Jeff Zucker was never hired to tell legitimate news. He was at NBC. He was part of their he was part of programming. He doesn't know how to do news. So, and his whole hatred of Donald Trump is that Donald Trump saved NBC from going under when he was running NBC, and because of The Apprentice. But remember, Donald Trump didn't create The Apprentice; he just made it popular. I never watched that because I wasn't into that stuff. But yeah, at the time when The Apprentice came along, you had CBS. CBS was leading the way. Because they had good programming that people wanted to watch, such as you had CSI. Then you had, of course, reality show, which was Survivor, and then The Amazing Race. What did NBC have? Nothing. Even Fox had better programming. ABC had good programming. Then, of course, they had the Bachelor and then The Bachelorette. NBC didn't have a hit reality show. That's where The Apprentice. And Jeff Zucker has hated Donald Trump for saving his ass. He's resented Donald Trump ever since because The Apprentice became a hit, which the fucker doesn't understand. That's what you want to keep a network going. Jeff Zucker's an idiot, so he's resigning over over some bullshit. He's leaving because he knows that he's going to get fired the moment. He's probably been told he was going to be fired by Discovery when they took over. There's a lot of these assholes that are going to be gone from CNN once they take over. Just like they're probably going to... They're out to make money. And when this deal is finalized, they're going to fucking go back to making CNN tell actual news and get rid of all this propaganda. So I know a lot of people are going to lose their jobs over this shit. And then they're going to go, the rest of it. They're going to get rid of a lot of this wokeness that's ruining Warner Brothers. This fucking, wokeness is going to be gone. So Jeff Zucker was leaving because he knows his days at CNN were numbered. Yeah, he didn't leave because of this fucking relationship he didn't disclose. That's all horseshit. Yeah, I mean, really, we've had a lot of stupid shit in the news. Like I said, the whole thing with Whoopi Goldberg is really explained when you're trying to push CRT, when you're trying to push that slavery is the worst, black people are the most oppressed, you have to diminish this thing that throws that all under the bus. Yeah. Because understand it, Muslims considered the Jews a race, and an inferior race. That's why they supported Hitler in World War II. And if you want to know how Israel became a place, a state, a country, it's because of what happened with the Muslim countries supporting Hitler during World War II. And that's why England was put in charge of that area. And here's the thing, the Palestinian people at the time, and this is true, felt bad for what happened to the Jews. Jews couldn't stay in Europe after the Holocaust. They didn't feel safe in Europe. So this is why the Palestinians agreed to give the land, that land became Israel, to the Jews because of what they just went through. The Palestinian people, of all the people in the Middle East, were the ones who actually who felt sympathy for the Jews and offered the land. They agreed in this document they signed that they would take the 2 pieces of land that they live on, that they say are occupied. They agreed to these 2 parts. And they agreed to give the rest of this to Israel out of what happened to them in the Holocaust. And good for them. They didn't have to do that. But they chose to, and they signed the document saying this. But the problem was, once they saw what the Jews were doing to the land, they said, oh, they tried to take it by force. That started this war. Yeah, between them and the Israelites. What happened? Israel won the war. The Palestinian war just put back on their land, so they have not ever been oppressed. They just thought they could violate the agreement that they assigned and agreed to with between them, Britain, and the Jews. You understand? So all these people like, EMR and everything saying the Jews are oppressed, and no, the Palestinians put themselves there. They've never been oppressed except for what they've done to themselves. They're not the victims of this. They are the aggressors. They elected Hamas, a terrorist organization. And frankly, Israel has a right to exist. They have a right to defend themselves. Do I support everything Israel's done? Hell no. They've done some pretty bad things. But, I also think we shouldn't be over in the Middle East. But yeah, all these things I talked about are, like I said, people need to grow up. This whole thing with G4 and those who got offended that she said Xbox is better than PlayStation. Hey, cult of PlayStation, it's okay for her to say that. What you should have done was, okay, she had her right to say that. Not your right to come after her and do what you did on her live show that drove her out of her mind and have made things worse. Do I care that G4 is back? Fuck no. But yeah. But it's just like the people that hated the prequels need to accept that they ruined Star Wars. Not fucking Disney. And no, Catherine Kennedy did not fire Gina Carano, is not responsible for... Yeah, Bob Iger fired her. He's the one that did the contract. So leave Catherine Kennedy alone. She's actually, if you look at her career, she is quite the amazing career. She started under Spielberg as an associate producer, and she went on to, her and her husband, create their own studio. The only reason she became president of Lucasfilm is because George Lucas asked Bob Iger to keep her on board, which she was surprised to hear. And 2, she has no real power at Lucas. She can only fire the people that work on the video games or ILM, because those are the people that work directly under her. Anybody working on The Mandalorian or any of that shit, the CEO controls their fate, just like at fucking Marvel Studios. All that shit you're seeing is all the CEOs. Approval. So back off on Catherine Kennedy. She didn't she didn't do what you accuse her of. Is the feminism and by the way, she didn't bring feminism and all that shit to fucking Disney. That shit was there ever since. The whole it's like Bill Cosby going to prison for not being a rapist was a consequence of the Me Too thing. It's just like Michael Jackson going on trial for crimes he didn't commit. These 2 men paid to cover up Harvey Weinstein. Like when Rose McGowan and others went to Ronan Farrow. And I get why Ronan Farrow did this. When his mother told about Woody Allen raping his sister, which, by the way, you fucking did, Woody Allen, the Hollywood sided with that pedophile. Just like they did with, Roman Polanski over his victim. I'm going to say this, and there have been more victims besides that girl. Yeah, fuck Roman Polanski. Fuck Bryan Singer. Fuck you, Kevin Spacey. Oh, and Patton Oswalt, quit touching little boys. And I didn't come up with you being a pedophile fucking little boys. That was Isaac Cappy, who knew your ass. And you kind of look like a goddamn peddler of little boys, you fucker. Yeah. You won't take me to court because you know what I'm saying is fucking true. It's like Tom Hanks. He likes little fucking girls. That's why he fled the country when Trump was going after fucking the sex trafficking of children. He didn't flee to fucking Greece because, oh my God. No, he did because Greece allowed you to be a pedophile. Yeah. And then we find out that fucking what happened at SNL and how it was covered up. Yeah. Yes, it came out about Jimmy Fallon and Horatio Sands and an underage girl. And I've heard about Jimmy Kimmel and little boys. That came from Isaac Cappy too. Isaac Cappy also said that Seth Green told him personally. I've seen the videos where he talks about this. He said Seth Green personally told him he was a pedophile. Yeah. But hey, I didn't make these videos to be age for kids. I make them for, for anybody to watch. But yeah, everything we're seeing, this shit with Jeff Zucker quitting, like I said, he's leaving because he's going to be fired when Discovery takes over. Yeah, I did each of these to point out this has just gotten stupid. All because the woman made one comment that a bunch of the cult of PlayStation couldn't handle. So it's all gotten ridiculously stupid. Both sides have acted like children in this. And I'd say it to their face, grow up. So she said what she said about PlayStation. Oh my God. Are you married to the fucking thing? So you like playing it. Okay. But she had every right to say what she said. Not about the Morgan Webb stuff. And then the self-appointed king of dwarfs. Fuck you, Peter Dinklage. Brian Flores, you do not have a case of racism. You're going to go down in smoke. You're fucking screwed beyond belief. Yeah, even the Giants. I don't believe the Giants ever fucking treated, Yeah. Nobody's going to agree with your shit. None of these teams are going to support you. You were fired by a black general manager of the Dolphins, Brian Flores. Go fuck yourself. Using race, you fucking worthless piece of shit. You got yourself fired. Whoopi Goldberg? I'm not condemning you for what you said. I understand why you said it. Should you be fired? Should you have been suspended? Fuck no. You said it because this is what a lot of black people on your side, liberal blacks, believe. They have to do this. You have no choice. In order to victimhood work and black people know to suppress, you had to play that the Holocaust was just between two groups of white people. Because as Chris Rock said, black people don't have time to separate white people into each of their individual groups. Am I offended by it? No, of course not. It's just like saying, trying to say that all black people are this way. No. It's just who you are, the way you were raised. I don't hate you. I just think that you need to drop the Goldberg part. Drop that name. The Ukraine thing, like I said, smokescreen. They're not going to go to war with Russia and the Ukraine. This is all a smokescreen. There is nobody wanting to go to war. Nobody. Not us. Nobody in this country wants another war. Russia's not looking for a war, and Ukraine's like, fuck off, Europe and Biden. Quit trying to push war on us. Russia's not, and he's even said Russia's not at our border, so I'll take him at his word. And you quit because you were going to be fired. Biden, stop sneaking illegals in this fucking country, you piece of shit. And quit touching little kids. Joe Rogan, this thing with Neil Young and Joni Mitchell and the geezers of music, oh, just stop. This is utterly retarded. There's no medical misinformation. Because when you have two doctors who actually tell you what they know, guess what? That's not medical information. A bunch of fucking idiots going on the mainstream media and lying their ass off because they're paid off by the drug companies. We know that's what's really going on. Because I know for a fact, I've talked to my previous doctor. The drugs that my doctor at the office had to prescribe were drugs that the drug companies were paying these doctors to, yeah. Like I'd go from one insulin to another because that's what one drug company would pay the doctors to push. So I'm not saying anything that's wrong. This whole shit with medical misinformation can go jump off cliff. Like Joe Rogan said in this response. Yeah, right here. And I'm going to play it.
Rogan is responding to the controversy over his Spotify podcast. The comedian...
Well, I'm going to get past this. This is where I want to...
bring opinions right after I have the controversial ones. My pledge to you is that I will do my best to try to balance out these more controversial viewpoints with other people's perspectives so we can maybe find a better point of view. I don't want to just show the contrary opinion to what the narrative is. I want to show all kinds of opinions.
Rogan's comments come after several artists followed.
No. And the thing was, he did later put out a video where he talks about that, basically the very things that used to get you banned, like the cloth masks. Yeah, they used to, and then they come out, they go on CNN, very doctors go on CNN, the CDC and everything, they say, the very thing that used to get people banned by saying, oh, cloth masks don't work, now they come out and say they don't work. When you used to say the whole thing about where the origins of this came from, now they're saying it came from there. When the NIH, the company Fauci works for, admits that they funded this along with our government in that lab, over there in China. It's, and now they're saying that when people like even Donald Trump said it and they said that's, no, it's not. Now they're saying it, confirming it. When they're when you say that, about things like immune systems, and then they come out and say the very same thing now that used to get you kicked off, that's things he was talking about. He's right. Things that used to be, you couldn't say that get you kicked off of YouTube, now you can say, because they now say they confirm the very thing. And so it's ironic what is considered medical misinformation, what isn't. It's just sad that this has happened. It is. It's quite sad that we live in a world in a time where things are so, and, my mother pointed this out. She's come to realize, because she just went through cancer. I found out she just went through cancer. She's been dealing with cancer. She came to realize both parties are to blame for the climate in this country, and she's right. To a point, she is. Her party, she realized her party has done a shitty job doing anything. They can't get anything done because they won't work with the other side. Dividing this country is ridiculous. We don't need to tear our country apart. We don't need to become separate states or whatever. We just need to learn. Eventually, everything will work itself out. We've been down these paths before. And what happened? The country came together. When everything seems lost, I just think about this. There is hope. You're seeing it slowly. Look at the truck drivers. You look at how do things change? They take small things like when Donald Trump. Democrats taking the White House, getting rid of Trump was probably you may not like this, was probably it was a stupid move, but at the same time, it actually was a good thing for the country. And I'll explain. It's a good thing because it's exposed the Democrats for who they are. They never had any plan beyond getting Trump out of the White House. And you see it. They've shown their hand. One great thing about Trump is he exposed the Democrats. The Democrats pretending to be Republican, he exposed them all. They have no plan going forward. They never did. All they had was get Trump out of the White House, and you can see from their complete screw-ups, they never knew what else to do. They're sitting here lost and wondering, what do we do now? They have no plan. That's why this whole thing with trying to get this bill where they could federalize elections. Because what did states do? They went about making sure that what happened doesn't happen again. To ensure that elections are fair, the integrity of elections are there. Democrats did everything. They were it was so obvious what they were doing. Even the media and Susan Wojcicki and all the tech companies have not been able to hide this fact. What they did. But the problem is, they went so in on it, get Trump out of the White House, they had nothing going forward. And it showed with the disaster in Afghanistan. And this whole thing. Look at what's happening, inflation and everything. And then Joe Biden saying inflation is good, more inflation. And calling Peter Doocy a stupid son of a bitch. That was no accident he said that. He knew exactly what he's saying. It's exactly the way the Democrats feel right now. While the people are suffering, they don't care. And more people are waking up to this realization. It's just like when you have someone like that politically I don't agree with, Lillian, who played, in the Marvel films Wasp, comes out and says she's against mask mandates. Who knew we were on the same page on that? When you have other people coming out and saying that, even Bill Maher's come out and finally had enough of his party. And said, what he should have said a long time ago. But this is the problem with the Democrats. And this is the problem with their entire voting base. That they need to wake up and realize. The voters in the Democratic Party have got to stop thinking and realize your party does not give a fuck about you. You are just useful until they're done with you. But see now the Democratic Party's there's the whole thing with Kirsten Sinema. Go watch, like I said, go watch Razor Fist videos on this. It's really, he knows more about this woman. But when everyone said, "Oh my God, that poor illegal's harassing her," I tried to tell people it's a smokescreen. They were not harassing her. If that's harassment. Really? If that's what you consider harassment, wow. I would like to show you the Women's March when they what they did during the Brett Kavanaugh hearings. Now that's fucking harassment. When they're holding politicians they didn't prevent cinema and when the illegal bitch says that she's here illegally while the rest of her family's in Mexico, you know that this is a horseshit thing. Yeah. But we see it. Nicki Minaj, she was like, I'm not going to take this until I know more. People came at her. They couldn't get rid of her. No one, Alex Jones has not been canceled. He's still around. He's dealing with problems with the courts, the liberal courts, and he'll get that settled. Donald Trump hasn't disappeared. He's still around, and the media doesn't know what to do. See, when they got rid of him off of Facebook, Twitter, and all this stuff, they don't know what Trump's thinking. He's not announced that he's running for president. He holds rallies. He tells... But is he running? Is he not? No one knows. Some people believe he is, but until he announces it, you're just speculating. But Democrats are scared right now. They're scared. The rhinos are guaranteed to lose. And the Republicans are probably going to get the House and the Senate. And if they're smart, don't put Kevin McCarthy as your Speaker of the House. He's a piece of shit. He's a rhino. Put Marjorie Taylor Greene or Matt Gaetz. And then in the Senate, if Trump is running, I would suggest he picks Rand Paul maybe as his VP candidate. That would work. You would definitely get a lot of libertarians voting for you if you picked Rand Paul. Because I guarantee you, Trump, Rand Paul isn't going to do what happened to you last time. He won't even let that happen. And if he isn't your VP, then he should be in charge of the Senate. He'll get them in line. Yeah. So, yeah, if Trump is running, pick Rand Paul as your VP. You'll definitely get people going, ooh, I can vote for that. But, yeah, everything we're seeing is just like, you have children. It's like fucking, you have those against Joe Rogan. Oh my God, we can't handle this. Oh my God, he's actually hurting us. We're children. Nobody's acting like a fucking adult. The G4 thing, children. The Spotify thing, geezers and fucking idiots. Oh my God. Jeff Zucker really over a relationship. He saw the writing on the wall. Discovery, anyone? Don't forget that. Discovery's gonna have Time Warner, and guess what? Jeff Zucker's not the only one going. And if others figured it out and saw the writing on the wall, they would leave too. And I do mean leave, because I don't think you're going to be around when Discovery takes over. And I can think of a few people at the company that might actually get their asses fired. You know who you are. But yeah. I've been off for a week because last week I put a video where I showed news articles, and the video is called, it's over on Rumble, it's on Odyssey Rumble, and I think it's on BitChute. It's called Medical Ethics Are Bullshit when doctors are not treating the unvaccinated. That's simply what the video is called. And all I did was, and they claimed it was medical misinformation, so I was banned for a week. I was completely banned for an entire week from being on YouTube. And so, yeah. And then I had something else happen. And I do want to show this, because this was absolutely fucking ridiculous. And I think I saved them. Hold on. I put them... Where did I put them? I'm trying to remember. Did I put them under... I think I did. This. This is utterly some of the most retarded shit I've ever seen. This right here, because you have, where was it? Yeah, right here. Sunday. It's funny because I had been told by this whole, I was like, what terms of service did it, we're talking about, God damn it. Right here, they're saying this. Earlier in the day, I had gotten from the same company, I'm trying to find the other one. Yeah, where I was told I was partnered. Yeah, right here. This was at 11:45 in the morning, Sunday. I get told, welcome, right here, welcome to the partner program. You want to see the fucking, I just might have given it away. Then I get this at 2:19, same day. We regret to inform you that your account, your demotion account, has been deactivated for violating terms of service. Oh, really? Then I ask this question. I go, okay, so if that's true, then I go, what terms of service did I violate? This was at that time. They've never responded. Yeah, this was the last one. I said, you also welcome me to your partner. But this one, I said this. This is the first time I'm hearing about violating one of your policies. It's also the first time that I've ever uploaded videos to your platform. I've had an account with you for years. One moment you're saying, congrats, enjoy uploading videos on our site. Then you deactivate my account without telling me what rule I violated. So at least I could, at least YouTube. Yeah, so at least I can, I put this out there. I say, with YouTube, at least they tell you what rule you violated. So at least I could change it. At YouTube, at least YouTube tells you which video violated their rules. Just gives you a strike. Say you can't upload for a week. By doing this, you are worse than YouTube. And they are cancer to the internet. I don't want to think you're worse than them. So please, will you reactivate my... No response. So yeah, that happened. And I find it funny that they did that. Yeah, to me of all people. I didn't, like I said, just uploaded the same day 5 videos and suddenly my account was deactivated. Even if they told me now, I wouldn't ever want to go back on DLive. Yeah, and that's a French company, by the way. Yeah, this right here, the GoFundMe's, all this shit we see is so ridiculous. All these truck drivers are saying, don't force mandates on people. That's all people want, the freedom. Yeah. You can't even donate money to this anymore. It's nearly $10 million for these truckers, and the local government wants to take that money away. They literally are demanding that, saying that they call in these truck drivers mercenaries, demanding the military get involved. And the Ottawa City Council woman literally says, tries to say that, we should be able to take that money away from them. So yeah, all this shit, it's just, yeah. So we live in a world of this crap. And our Hollywood, the whole wokeness and the tokenization. I mean, it goes back. It's so ridiculous how, you go back to the original Batman TV series. Julie Newmar was Catwoman, and suddenly she's replaced by a black woman named Eartha Kitt. What the fuck? And I'm going to say this. I don't blame Billy D. Williams or Tim Burton, but in the original in Tim Burton's Batman movie, they bring in Harvey Dent, played by Billy D. Williams. That's the studio that did that. But this tokenization's been going on, and most people have never spoke up about it. I remember when the Thor movies came out, how many people spoke up against Heimdall being a black guy? And by the way, they're based on the actual Norse gods. No, people went and saw the movie and said nothing. Maybe Eric July said something, but most of you just went didn't care. Just like when Perry White is now a black guy. Didn't say anything. Stayed quiet. Yeah. None of you. And look at what's happening. The Batman's coming out. Catwoman's apparently black, and now Commissioner Gordon been tokenized black. They take Mary Jane Watson, who never went to high school with Parker, and the girl's not named Mary Jane Watson, but we're just going to give her those initials, MJ, and she's a biracial. I think she's either black or biracial. Yay! Things have gotten so bad, they actually made Anne Boleyn, BBC decided to make Anne Boleyn black. Yay. Great job. But yeah, this is what's been going on. And now a lot of outrage because of Snow White. They're taking a white character and making her Latino. We can't have... Where was this call when all the other tokenizations? They did the same thing with Valkyrie. Oh, I heard how many people loved the Ragnarok. That wasn't Ragnarok. Oh, that movie's so colorful and so good. I love it. Here's one finger and here's two. Yeah. But nobody spoke up a lot of times when this shit was going on with tokenization. They've been doing it in comic books for a while. But you guys go and see these movies. You give them your money. It's like when Venom came out. Tom Hardy is too short to play Eddie Brock. And they moved it to San Francisco from New York. Nope. Tom Hardy's too short to play Venom. Or Eddie Brock. The movie was terrible. And then the sequel came out and it's like, ugh. What the fuck is this crap? But you still go and see these movies, just like the new Spider-Man, just like the Bond film, just like all of them. You go and see this wokeness and then you bitch about it. I don't give my money to this crap. Because I don't support it. When you go see these movies, you're giving them. I didn't see the new, even though it's on HBO Max, I didn't watch the new fucking Matrix. I didn't like the other Matrix films. Yeah. Why would I want to give my money to yes, I pay for HBO Max, but I'm not going to go to the theater to watch a shitty movie, and I'm not going to watch it on the streaming site either. Because I made the mistake. I did watch I'll do a review later of Godzilla versus Kong. I already did a Mortal Kombat, but no, I didn't. I did that on Twitter. But I'll give a review of the new Mortal Kombat movie. I'll give you a review of the Godzilla versus Kong. Rolling my eyes. Ugh. It's like, sorry about that. But yeah, all this is just crap. The whole thing with Ukraine, like I said, it's a smokescreen. They're bringing the illegals. Try to, do what they're trying to do. Again, because they can't take away the elections from the states. They want to try to change it within. But unfortunately, they created these election laws that will prevent that. So bravo, stupid Democrats. Instead of getting anything reasonable through, working with Republicans, you decided to be stupid. And the midterms are coming up, and people are fed up. Inflation's high. Joe Biden says more inflation is good. People are getting sick of being told what to do. They're fighting back. Look at the convoy. You have, even Bill Maher's sick of the Democrats. But does that mean Bill Maher is going to suddenly vote the opposite? He's not going to vote Democrat? Of course not. He's going to just... Remember, Joe Rogan was a Bernie supporter, which means he supported a communist. Yeah. It's like any Democrat that moves from California, moves to Texas. Why would I live there when they're just going to turn Texas back into what it once was, a blue state? Austin, Dallas, and Houston are all extremely blue cities. And then I looked into like Waco, Texas. You would think this would be a completely Republican stronghold. Nope. Even after what happened with the federal government under Clinton, the siege of, and the murder down there, nope. They're pretty blue. It's a pretty blue city. Yeah, I was shocked. Ugh. Yeah. Nothing we're seeing is surprising to me. I mean, yeah, it upset me because I done a whole high school paper on Hitler, and he made it very clear the Jews were an inferior race to white people. He didn't consider them white. And he did base it on the fact that white people, in his mind, are superior to all other races. So if you're not white, you're an inferior race, according to Adolf Hitler. Yeah. Here's the real shit kicker. For all, he orchestrated the Holocaust, yet he killed not one Jew. He kicked off the World War II, but he killed not one Jew. Isn't that kind of that he hated the Jews and everything, but didn't care to kill them himself? Had other people do the dirty work so he could keep his hands clean. But it's funny, he's in hell with everybody else. Sorry about that. All this shit that we have from Peter, from G4, Peter Dinklage, Brian Flores, Whoopi Goldberg, the Ukraine, Jeff Zucker, all the shit that I've been talking about. Yay. The world is, things are falling apart, and this is the shit that your government officials, that the media would rather talk about than how do we fix things? How do we get back? They're not even going to talk about the damage that these lockdowns have done. They're finding that out now in the UK. They are. They're finding out the consequences of lockdowns. I don't know if Australia's ever going to be, Yeah. All the shit we're seeing. And apparently it's building this this convoy up in Canada is apparently they're going to do it in Australia, America. They're already doing it in, I don't know which country in Europe. Yeah. All this stuff. Calling them mercenaries when they're not. They're not attacking anyone. Even the police say, oh, there's no violence. It's all peaceful. But yeah. So yeah, I just wanted to do this as I'm back. And like I said, I'm going to work on some other videos. I'm working towards doing one about Margaret Sanger, Hitler, and the Catholic Church. That'll be fun. But yeah, I just wanted to do this to let you know I'm back and talk about some things that I felt that, needed to be talked about. People need to quit just jumping on shit. Like, take a closer look at stuff. Look for what really caused something rather than, oh my God, this woman's a terrible person. How, I just, like I said, I did a video commenting how what she said about Morgan Webb and Olivia was horseshit. But what caused her to do that was she said Xbox beat PlayStation in the console war, which is true. It's just you're dealing with the cult of PlayStation, and how dare you say something negative about that piece of plastic. You can say whatever you want against Microsoft, and I ain't going to sit there and go, oh my God, I have to come out and get you. Yeah, you can say whatever you want about Donald Trump. I don't care. I ain't married to him. I ain't his family. I ain't his, I voted for him, but doesn't mean I'm offended by anything you say about that. Go ahead and make fun of Microshaft. I do. Yeah. I just wanted to do this to say, say that, and didn't have a whole lot else to talk about. Just made this video just to, get this video on YouTube and everything. Talk about a few things. And like Joe Rogan said, the shit that used to get you kicked off of YouTube and stuff is now okay to talk about because they acknowledge it now. This is so ridiculous and absurd. So yeah. Enjoy your day. I'm going to sign off.